go downhill from that. But, there are a few things I'd like to say today. First of all, thanks to Skipper Packing for inviting me today. Commodore Goskowitz, everyone's been most welcoming. Captain Bonet is my favorite naval air station after 33 years. Is absolutely the finest, and he's managed to keep it that way since I was here in 1966. It's just a beautiful, wonderful, operationally efficient air station. But the distinguished guests here, and especially the soon-to-be naval aviators, and I'm going to, my job today is to try to make that soon rather than later, so I can a few remarks that I do have. But it's truly an honor to be here today on this tremendous occasion. A little background, and my wife and I happened to go to Tailhook, and we were up at one of the receptions, and I looked across the room, and there's this commander standing there straight and tall with an insignia that really grabbed my attention. It was an insignia of BT-9, the Tigers. And I had to go talk to him, and sure enough, he was the president, skipper, Squadron, and I managed to wheedle an invitation out of him to come visit. And he said, well, in that event, you're going to have to be a guest speaker. So I'm afraid you're saddled with me for the next couple of minutes. Get back to what I initially started with, the momentous occasion. You know, that's usually reserved for some huge event, huge attendance, and something that is just once in a lifetime thing. Well, to me, this event today, seemingly as small as it is a momentous event. I remember it well in my time, 56 years ago, that it still qualifies as the proudest and most important event in my life. Now, I have to be careful with that statement. those that have spouses out there, or soon to be spouses, you are authorized, in my authority, to downgrade to the second most important. Let's think about it just a few minutes, though, about how relatively few people have earned the right to wear the wings of gold. Not only the cream of the crop, but the cream to the cream in the Tailhook family. I'll steal the term coined by Admiral Courtney, the commander of Fleet Forces Command, during his address to the Tailhook guests. He characterized Tailhookers as having a collective uniqueness, that not only separates you from all others, but transcends all wing bearers, really. A less elegant description that I'm reminded by my wife, who happens to point out that she can tell a tailhooker right away. How's that, dear? By their swagger, of course. Well, let me warn you, that swagger may very soon turn to what may be described as a stagger. You want to avoid it. The swagger is fine, and it's richly deserved. With the uniqueness of being a tailhooker also comes the unique demands of the profession. I think the Commodore may have alluded to it a bit. Not only the tailhooker, but on the families as well. The importance of mutual support among families cannot be overemphasized. I really appreciate the opportunity during this visit to catch up on naval aviation training. And looking back over the years, I marveled at how senior leadership at every level adapts to the dynamics of naval aviation training. Washington, we talk about them, complain about them a lot, but they're the ones that fight the budget balance, acquire new aircraft, and provide the needed facilities, including our supported naval air stations dedicated to the training mission, and believe me, Meridian stands out as the best. So not just staff, wing and squadron commanders, but fine-tuning syllabi and the training procedures so that the training pipeline remains seamless and recognized as the best in the world. How can it not be the best when staffed by warriors, scholars, and test pilots as you have here at Meridian? You are truly the products of the best naval aviation can offer. Now, I will have to qualify a bit and say I did wonder early on about senior leadership. At foolishly put a 19-year-old in a Corsair and expected him to bring it back. But it did seem to work then as it does today, only much better. With sophisticated simulators, advanced technologies, and the training you have received, you can be proud of your safety record in naval aviation. One thing that has not changed in naval aviation, and I've observed it from every perspective, as a student, as an instructor, and as a training squadron commander. What has not changed is the professionalism, the dedication, and skill of the flight instructor. And I tip my hat to those I see back there in flight suits, as they truly should be. It is a job with the highest responsibility, and that is to turn out naval aviators that will be as good as they are, or at least as good as they think they are. If they think they are, we're in good shape. I know that it is a job that many try to avoid, preferring obviously to be with tactical units, but again, in my experience, after a training command tour, aviation skills of the flight instructor are as finely honed as any flying community anywhere. Now, I would, if you don't mind, go to a little anecdote. I'll try to be brief on this, but it keeps coming up. And I'm always embarrassed when I'm asked a question, and our skipper, Commander Mackin, managed to do that again today. He said, and Captain, what was your call sign? Well, in my early days in the Navy, we did not really go for call signs, or at least any that could be said in polite company. So it was slow catching on, but then everyone had to have a call sign. Well, during a brief period there when they cut down on the Navy force quite dramatically, I was out of the Navy for maybe 6 months. I didn't even have time to unpack before the Korean War started. And I joined this reserve squadron, and I joined it in Memphis. I joined it as an ensign. They were all World War II types, very senior lieutenant ADs and lieutenants, and I was the lowly ensign, the only ensign in the air group that was later recalled for Korea. Guess what my call sign was? Young Tom. Young Tom. That is my call sign. So over the years, the reserve, they all got out, of course. I stayed in the Navy. We'd have reunions, and we'd go to the reunions, and guess what? I'm 45 years old. I walk in the room, hi, Young Tom. You guys got to knock this off. I'm getting too old to be called Young Tom. I just seem never to grow out of it. So I turned 80 years old, and there's this organization, the UFOs, United Flying Engineering Outfit. I got to belong to that. I put in my application, and a nice letter comes back. Dear Young Tom. You know, I was looking for something like Viper or Maverick or Sega. Now, I can avoid that one. I don't think I would have picked up on that one, but you know, Young Tom really doesn't strike fear in the enemy's heart. Look out, here comes Young Tom. But in closing, I want to thank Commander Mackin again, and everyone really. This is truly overwhelming. I've got to get through this, or I'm going to tear up here, but it is just overwhelming. It brings back great memories of my former life in naval aviation. But I congratulate you who are going to been on the insignia of the best. We're all very proud of your singular accomplishment, and wish you all the best in a career that I know you will find as rewarding as I did. Go Navy.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Arjun Majumdar, representing the Mississippi Council.